What happens when the weakest becomes the most powerful? For Arya Winters, life had always been written in the margins. Born an Omega in the Silvercrest pack, she existed in the shadows of wolves who wore their strength like crowns. Her parents kept her close, kept her quiet, told her survival meant staying small. But when Alpha Daemon Blackthorn chose power over destiny and shattered their mate bond in front of the entire pack, everything changed. And what happened next, no one was prepared for. The ceremony hall blazed with torchlight. 500 wolves pressed shoulder to shoulder, their scents mingling into a tapestry of anticipation, leather and musk, excitement and envy. At the center stood Arya, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. The mate bond had snapped into place 3 nights ago. She'd been delivering herbs to the pack healer when Daemon Blackthorn walked past, the Alpha's son, heir to Silvercrest. And the moment his scent hit, her, forest and embers, ozone and steel, the world tilted sideways. The bond unfurled between them, golden and undeniable, singing through her blood with a truth older than words. Mine. She'd gasped, he'd frozen, their eyes met. And for one perfect heartbeat, she'd seen recognition there, shock, maybe even wonder. Then his expression closed like a door slamming shut. Now, 3 days later, the entire pack had gathered for the announcement. Mate ceremonies were sacred, witnessed by the moon goddess herself. The crowd's energy crackled through the air, sharp with curiosity. An alpha claiming his mate was always significant. But an alpha claiming an omega, that would be unprecedented. Arya stood perfectly still in the simple white dress tradition demanded, lavender and morning dew and wildflowers rising from her skin. Her wolf stirred uneasily beneath her ribs, pacing, whining. Something's wrong. Daemon stepped forward. He wore ceremonial black, every inch the alpha he was born to be. Broad-shouldered, commanding, radiating power that made lesser wolves drop their eyes. But Arya held his gaze. She was his mate, equal, even if the pack didn't see it yet. I, Daemon Blackthorn, heir to Silvercrest, called before the pack and the moon goddess. His voice carried to every corner. Arya's heart soared, then plummeted. Formally reject Arya Winters as my mate. Time stopped. The words hung in the air, impossible, obscene. Somewhere a woman gasped. Beside the dais, Daemon's chosen companion, Lydia Cross, beautiful and cruel and beta-born, smiled. The bond between them convulsed. Arya felt it like a living thing, thrashing in confusion. This wasn't how it worked. You couldn't just... Do you accept? The elder's voice cracked. Arya couldn't breathe. The entire hall pressed in on her, 500 wolves watching her humiliation. Daemon's scent had gone cold, all steel and ozone, no warmth left. His jaw was set. Behind him, Lydia's fingers traced his shoulder, her scent, cinnamon and iron and blood, triumphant. Arya's voice broke. The bond requires acceptance from both parties, the elder prompted, his ancient eyes sad. Child, you must speak the words. She looked at her parents in the crowd. Her mother's face was white. Her father looked at the floor. Help me, she thought. Neither moved. Daemon's power pressed down on her, his alpha will demanding submission. Accept the rejection, Omega. Don't make this harder. Pride she didn't know she possessed lifted her chin. I, Arya Winters, accept your rejection. The bond shattered. It didn't fade or dissolve. It broke, splintering through her chest like glass, shredding something vital. Arya screamed. The sound ripped from her throat, raw and animal, as invisible claws tore through her soul. She collapsed to her knees, hands clutching at her heart, trying to hold the pieces together. The pain was exquisite, unbearable, every nerve ending on fire, every breath agony. Through the haze she heard Daemon's voice, flat and formal. Remove her. Hands grabbed her arms, guards pulling her upright though her legs wouldn't work. The crowd parted, wolves looking away, unwilling to meet her eyes. Shame burned hotter than the pain. They dragged her past her parents. Please, she whispered. Her mother flinched. Her father's expression hardened. You brought this on yourself, he said quietly. We told you to stay invisible. The guards hauled her through the great doors and into the night. The territory border was 5 miles north, marked by ancient stones and the scent of the unclaimed lands beyond. Winter had come early this year. Snow fell in thick sheets, the wind a living thing with teeth. They dumped her at the boundary and stepped back. "Alpha's orders," the lead guard said, not unkindly but firmly. "You're cast out. Cross back and we'll be forced to act." "In this storm?" Arya managed. "I'll die out there." The guard's eyes flickered with something like pity. Then his expression hardened. "Should have thought of that before you reached above your station." They left her in the snow. Arya walked because staying still meant freezing. The blizzard swallowed her whole, white on white, the world reduced to wind and ice and the burning in her lungs. Her thin dress offered no protection. Within minutes, she couldn't feel her fingers. Within 10, her lips had gone numb. The bond's absence gaped in her chest like a wound. She could feel the edges of it, ragged and raw, where something precious had been torn away. Her wolf was silent, shocked into stillness. "Get up," she told herself when she fell the first time. "Keep moving." She found a structure by accident, a half-collapsed barn, ancient and forgotten, wood gray with age. Part of the roof had caved in, but one corner offered shelter from the wind. Arya crawled inside, shaking so hard her teeth rattled. This was it then. This was how she'd die. 22 years old, rejected, cast out, alone. The irony was bitter. She'd spent her whole life being told she was worthless, and now the universe seemed determined to prove it. Her eyes drifted closed. "Stay awake," her wolf whispered, finally stirring. "Please, stay awake." But the darkness was warm, and Arya was so cold. She let go. Warmth. That was the first thing she registered, not the searing heat of fire, but the solid living warmth of bodies, pressed close on all sides. Arya surfaced from unconsciousness slowly, confused. Dead people weren't supposed to be warm. Her eyes fluttered open. Wolves surrounded her, massive wolves, each easily twice the size of a normal alpha, their fur dense and dark. They'd arranged themselves in a circle around her, creating a barrier against the storm still raging outside. Their combined body heat radiated like a furnace. Arya's breath caught. She counted them, one by one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 wolves who shouldn't exist. 10 wolves who'd appeared in a blizzard in unclaimed territory and chosen to save her instead of kill her. The largest one, midnight black with eyes like molten silver, watched her with an intelligence that was achingly human. When their gazes met, he lowered his head in something that looked like a bow. The wolf shifted. It wasn't like normal shifting. There was no pain, no cracking of bones. His form simply flowed. Darkness condensing into the shape of a man, tall, broad-shouldered, with silver-shot black hair and a face marked by old scars. He wore his age like armor, maybe 40, maybe ageless. His scent rolled over her, aged oak and winter snow, pine and storm. Power radiated from him in waves that made her wolf whimper and press close beneath her skin. "You're awake," he said. His voice was deep, textured like rough velvet. "Good. We weren't sure you'd survive." Arya pushed herself upright, acutely aware she was surrounded by 10 massive predators in a half-ruined barn in the middle of nowhere. "Who are you?" "My name is Garrett Stormwood." He settled back on his heels, utterly unconcerned by his nakedness or the cold. "And we've been waiting for you." "Waiting?" Arya's voice failed. "That's impossible. Nobody even knew I'd be cast out tonight." "We've been waiting for 22 years, Garrett said quietly, "since the night your power was bound." The world tilted again. "I don't understand." "You will." He glanced at the storm still raging beyond their shelter. "But first, we need to get you somewhere safe, somewhere we can explain properly. Can you stand?" Arya tried. Her legs shook but held. Garrett's hand shot out, steadying her, and at the contact something surged. Not a bond, not like with Damon, but a recognition that went bone deep. Her wolf keened, pressing forward. "Pack," her wolf breathed. "Or pack." "Easy," Garrett murmured. "Your wolf's been caged a long time. She's going to be confused." "How do you know?" "Because we know exactly what you are, Arya Winters." His silver eyes held hers, fierce and certain. "And we know what you're meant to become." The Guard, as Garrett called them, had a settlement deeper in the unclaimed lands. Not a village, exactly, more a fortress carved from living stone, ancient and hidden and humming with power. They arrived at dawn, the blizzard finally breaking to reveal a sky bleeding pink and gold. Arya had been carried most of the way, passed between wolves who moved with terrifying grace through terrain that should have been impassable. Now, as they crossed the threshold into warmth and shelter, her mind reeled. The main hall was vast, lit by crystals that glowed with soft light. 10 wolves became 10 people, men and women ranging from mid-20s to Garrett's weathered maturity, each powerfully built, each bearing scars. A woman with copper hair and fierce green eyes stepped forward, wrapped Arya in furs. "I'm Sienna. You're safe here." "Safe from what?" Arya's voice cracked. "From those who would prevent your awakening," Garrett said. He gestured to a chair near the fire. "Sit. This will be difficult to hear." They gathered around her, the 10 who'd saved her life, whose sense she was beginning to learn. Sienna smelled of rain and earth. Beside her, a massive man named Marcus radiated stone and smoke. A younger woman, Kira, carried the bright scent of wildfire. "There's a prophecy," Garrett began. "Older than Silvercrest, older than most of the packs in this region. It speaks of a wolf who will rise when the packs have forgotten their purpose, when strength has corrupted into cruelty." He pulled out a leather-bound book, its pages yellowed with age. When he read, his voice took on a formal cadence. "When pack turns from pack and kin from kin, when omegas bleed and alphas grin, the matriarch will rise from shame, born of sorrow, forged in flame. She will be marked by silver light, stronger than the strongest might. She will come when hope is lost. She will pay the highest cost. Bound in childhood, cast aside, rejected by the one denied. Only breaking frees the chain. Only death unlocks the reign." Silence fell. Arya's hands trembled. You think that's about me?" "We don't think," Marcus's voice rumbled. "We know. We've been watching your pack for 2 decades, waiting for the signs." "What signs?" Sienna knelt beside her chair. "An Omega child born under a blood moon. Parents who reeked of fear despite their daughter's gentle nature. A binding ritual performed in secret when you were only months old." The room spun. "My parents bound your wolf," Garrett confirmed. "Locked away your power so completely you never even knew it existed. They were terrified, and maybe in their way, they thought they were protecting you." "From what?" "From this." He gestured to the room, to himself, to the prophecy. "From your destiny. They thought if they kept you small and silent, you'd be safe. But destiny doesn't forget, Arya. It just waits." A sound escaped her. Half laugh, half sob. "So Damon rejecting me? That was supposed to happen?" "The rejection shattered more than your mate bond," Garrett said gently. "It shattered the binding. Your parents used the bond itself as an anchor, tied your power to the promise of a mate connection. When Damon broke it, he set me free," Arya whispered. "He made a mistake," Kira said, her young face fierce. "He didn't just lose a mate, he rejected a queen." Arya's wolf stirred, stronger now than she'd ever felt, and hungry. Gods, so hungry. "I can feel her," Arya gasped. "My wolf! She's waking up," Garrett said. "And when she does, Arya Winters will cease to exist." "What will I become?" His smile was fierce and proud. "Everything you were always meant to be." The transformation began that night. Arya felt it. Building through the day, a pressure beneath her skin, her senses sharpening to impossible clarity. She could hear Marcus breathing 2 rooms away, could smell Sienna's worry like vinegar on the air. Her body hummed with energy that had nowhere to go. "Let it happen," Garrett murmured. They stood in the courtyard, snow falling soft around them, the 10 guard members forming a circle. Witnesses, protectors. "Don't fight her. I don't know how. Your wolf knows. Trust her." Arya closed her eyes, reached inward to where her wolf paced, enormous and radiant, and finally, free. "Hello," her wolf said. Her voice was power incarnate. "I've missed you." "Show me," Arya thought. The shift began. But it wasn't like anything she'd heard described. There was no pain, no breaking. Instead, her bones flowed like water finding new channels. Her skin rippled, fur emerging in waves of silver and white that caught the moonlight. Her spine elongated, powerful muscles forming, where none had existed. And she grew. Arya felt herself expanding, becoming, every cell rewriting itself. The world shrank around her, or she grew massive, larger than Marcus, larger than any alpha she'd ever seen. Power erupted through her in concentric waves, rattling the courtyard stones. When it was done, she stood on 4 legs that could crush boulders. Her fur gleamed like starlight, and her eyes, she could feel them glowing, bright as the moon itself. Her first howl shook the fortress. It poured out of her, wordless and ancient, a sound of grief and rage and triumph and power. The guard answered, their voices rising to meet hers, and for a moment the night belonged to them alone. When Arya shifted back, flowing as easily as water, she collapsed to her knees in the snow, gasping. Garrett was there immediately, wrapping her in furs. Easy. First full shift takes everything. I felt she couldn't find words. Everything, every one. The pack bonds between you. All. The territory. The moon. You're an empath, Sienna said softly. Among other things. What other things? We'll teach you, Garrett promised. But first rest. You've been reborn tonight. That deserves acknowledgement. As they led her inside, Arya caught her reflection in a window. Her eyes were still faintly glowing, silver like the moon. She looked like someone who could break worlds. She looked like someone who already had. The weeks that followed blurred into a montage of discovery and training. Arya learned to shift at will, the transformation becoming as natural as breathing. She learned to sense emotions, Sienna's steady calm, Marcus's protective instinct, Kira's burning ambition. She learned to influence them too, projecting tranquility or confidence, though Garrett warned her that particular gift required careful ethics. An empath who manipulates becomes a tyrant, he said one morning, watching her practice. Feel what others feel, yes, help them. Manage it if they ask, but never override their will. She learned to heal. Small things at first, Kira's training injury, a gash on Marcus's arm from sparring. The power flowed through her naturally, golden light that knit flesh and eased pain. Moon goddess, Marcus breathed, watching his skin seal. That shouldn't be possible. Neither should she, Sienna pointed out, but here we are. But it was the command voice that truly shocked her. They were training in the courtyard, all 10 guard members in wolf form, when a young wolf, River, barely 20, got too aggressive in a drill. He lunged at Kira with fangs bared, training forgotten in the heat of dominance play. Enough, Arya commanded. The word carried weight, pressing down like physical force. River dropped mid-leap, hitting the ground and rolling onto his back in submission. Every other wolf in the yard followed suit, even Garrett, even massive Marcus, all exposing their throats. Silence. Arya shifted back. To human, horrified. I didn't mean that. Garrett said, voice rough with awe as he shifted, was Alpha Command, but stronger. That was a matriarch's will. I could have hurt him. You could have killed him, Garrett agreed, with a word, with a thought. Do you understand now why your parents were terrified? Arya looked at her hands. They weren't trembling. This power is yours by right, Sienna finished. The question is what you'll do with it. Days turned to weeks. Arya's confidence grew alongside her power. The guard became her family in ways her blood family never had. Marcus teaching her combat, Sienna showing her territory management, Kira sparring with a ferocity that made them both laugh. And Garrett. Garrett was something else entirely. He watched her with those silver eyes, patient and proud, and something in her chest pulled tight whenever he was near. Not a mate bond, those couldn't be forced or chosen, but a connection nonetheless, deep and certain. You're staring, he said one evening as they walked the fortress walls. You saved my life. We saved each other. He paused, looking out over the dark forest. I've been searching for you for 20 years, Arya. Leading the guard, following prophecies, hoping. You think I don't feel it too? Her breath caught. Feel what? He turned to face her fully. The pull, the certainty. You're not my fated mate. The moon goddess makes those bonds, and she never made one for me. But I choose you. If you'll have me, I choose you every day. Arya's wolf surged forward, certain and sure. Chosen mates are just as sacred, Garrett finished, just as eternal, if both parties will it. She took his hand. His scent, oak and snow and storm, wrapped around her like coming home. I will it. Then I'm yours, he said simply, until my last breath. When they kissed, the fortress glowed. The scout found them on the 41st day. Arya was training with Marcus when Sienna burst into the courtyard, her scent sharp with alarm. We've got movement on the southern border. Silvercrest wolves, a lot of them. Arya's blood went cold. How many? 20 plus, war party formation. Sienna's eyes were grim. They're not here for diplomacy. Garrett appeared from the hall, already armed. They know you're alive. Someone must have seen you during the last full moon hunt. They think they can take you back, Marcus growled, or silence you. Arya felt her wolf rise, powerful and ready. Let them come. They assembled on the plateau above the fortress, Arya, the 10 guard members, facing down an army of Silvercrest wolves led by Daemon Blackthorn himself. The Alpha's scent reached her even across the distance, forest and embers, ozone and steel. But there was something else now, regret, sour and sharp. Behind him, Lydia Cross snarled, her beautiful face twisted with rage. Arya Winters, Daemon called, his voice carried, formal and cold. You're trespassing in unclaimed territory that borders our land. Come back peacefully, and I'll show mercy. Arya stepped forward. She wore simple clothes, no armor, no weapons, but power radiated from her in waves that made the enemy wolves shift uneasily. Mercy, she repeated, like the mercy you showed when you rejected me in front of the pack, when you had me thrown into a blizzard to die. You were an Omega, but his voice wavered. You would have weakened. I am an Omega, Arya said. I am also the matriarch. I am also the wolf your legends warned you about, and you made a grave mistake. Lydia lunged forward. You're nothing. You're... She shifted mid-sentence, her wolf form elegant and deadly, all tawny fur and snapping fangs. She covered the distance between them in seconds, leaping for Arya's throat. Arya didn't shift. She simply caught Lydia mid-air, one hand closing around the she-wolf's neck. The wave of power that erupted from her contact made every wolf on the plateau flatten their ears. Lydia whimpered, struggling. You attacked your matriarch, Arya said quietly. In front of witnesses. In the old laws, that's a death sentence. Then kill me, Lydia snarled. Arya met her eyes, saw the fear beneath the bravado, the desperation of someone who'd built their entire identity on being the Alpha's choice. No, I'm not my parents. I'm not Daemon. I don't punish from fear or pride. She set Lydia down, released her. Shift. Face me as a person. Lydia shifted back, shaking. The entire Silvercrest war party watched, transfixed. You wanted power, Arya said. You wanted to be alpha female. I understand that hunger, but you built it on someone else's pain. So here's your punishment. You're stripped of rank, beta no more. You'll start from the bottom, and you'll earn your way back up by serving those you once thought beneath you. You can't. I can, Arya said, because I'm claiming these territories, all of them. Every wolf here is, under my protection and my law now, including you. Daemon stepped forward, his face pale. Arya, I made a mistake. Yes, she agreed. You did. I was afraid. My father wanted me to choose strength over destiny, and I thought... You thought I was weak. Arya's voice was gentle now, almost sad. You saw an Omega and assumed fragile. You never looked deeper. I see you now, Daemon whispered. Moon goddess, I see you now. Behind Arya, Garrett growled, a low, warning sound. Arya raised one hand, quieting him. The bond is broken, she told Daemon, shattered beyond repair. You made your choice. But I'll offer you the same thing I offered Lydia, a chance to be better. Serve these territories, protect the weak instead of exploiting them, prove you learned something from your mistake. Daemon dropped to one knee. I accept. The entire war party followed, 20 wolves kneeling in the snow, heads bowed. Arya looked back at her guard. Show them. As one, the 10 shifted, but not into normal wolves. These forms were enormous, dire wolves from ancient times, mythic guardians that stood taller than horses. Their eyes glowed with power older than memory. Marcus alone was twice the size of the largest Silvercrest Alpha. The enemy wolves shrank back, whimpering. "This is the Shadow Guard," Arya said, "sworn to protect the matriarch, sworn to enforce the old laws, and these are my territories now, mine to protect, mine to rule, mine to remake." She walked forward, letting her power wash over them, not hostile, but undeniable. "I am Arya Winters. I am the matriarch, and you have a choice. Join this new order where Omegas are protected and strength is measured in compassion, not cruelty. Or leave, now, while I'm still feeling merciful." No one moved to leave. Slowly, one by one, they bowed their heads. "Welcome," Arya said softly, "to the first day of a better world." 6 months later, the territories thrived. Arya stood on the fortress walls, watching wolves train in the courtyard below. Not just her shadow guard now, but dozens of wolves from across the region, drawn by rumors of a matriarch who actually protected her people. Omegas who'd been cast out, betas who'd grown tired of serving cruel alphas, even a few alphas who wanted to learn a different way. Daemon served among them, no longer wearing his arrogance like armor. He'd proven himself through service, and Arya had granted him a new role, teaching young alphas how to lead with wisdom instead of force. Lydia had left entirely, choosing exile over submission. Some wounds ran too deep for healing, arms wrapped around Arya from behind. She leaned back into Garrett's chest, breathing in oak and snow and home. "Penny for your thoughts?" he murmured. "Just thinking about how far we've come." She turned in his arms, meeting those silver eyes. "And how far we still have to go." "We'll get there," he kissed her forehead. "Together." The mate mark on her shoulder, chosen, not fated, but carved in their shared commitment, glowed faintly. Garrett's matched it. "The summit's in 3 weeks," Arya said. "All the regional alphas." "They'll come," Garrett assured her. "They've heard what you did here. They'll want to see the matriarch for themselves. Some will come to challenge. Let them." His smile was fierce. "They'll learn the same lesson Daemon did." Arya looked out over her territory, her pack, her family. "Marcus says there's been talk of movement in the northern wastes, something about a blood moon prophecy." "There's always another threat," Garrett said philosophically, "but we'll face it when it comes. Right now, enjoy this. You've earned it." She had. She'd survived rejection, survived death, survived the breaking and remaking of everything she thought she was. She'd found power, found purpose, found love, and she was just getting started. Far to the north, beyond the mountains, something ancient stirred in the darkness. Something that had been sleeping for centuries, waiting for a matriarch to rise, waiting for its own prophecy to unfold. But that, as they say, is a story for another time. And so Arya Winters' journey transformed her from rejected Omega to matriarch, from victim to queen, from powerless to unstoppable. She learned that true strength isn't about dominance. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. She learned that family isn't always blood, and sometimes the people who save you are the ones you were always meant to find. What did you think of Arya's transformation? Did you see the betrayal coming? How would you have handled Daemon's rejection? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading your reactions. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and share it with anyone who loves epic werewolf romances. Subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss the next chapter. Because trust me, Arya's story is far from over. What awaits in the northern wastes? What secrets does the Blood Moon prophecy hold? And who, or what, has been watching the matriarchs rise from the shadows? Thank you for listening to this chapter of Arya's journey. We'll see you in the next chapter, where the real challenges begin. Until then, stay wild, stay strong, and remember, sometimes the greatest power comes from embracing exactly who you were meant to be.